This is a situation where I'm talking about a team building and assembling a roster full of talent as opposed to players coming together as one. You can't knock, particularly in this day and age, for looking at their business interests, because the more successful you are, the more money you make, the less dependent you are on people down the road, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I understand it. But what we're talking about is, and let's face it, we're not talking about LeBron as much as Durant in this situation. And I try to explain this to a lot of people that try to make that argument, comparing the two. When LeBron went to Miami got bounced out in the first round the year before, and LeBron, D. Wade, and Bosh had never played together. The issue with Durant is that not only was he a superstar, not only did he just lost in the conference finals to the same team a month earlier, but everyone was there but him. Had none of them played together and they assembled, that's entirely different than you joining an already well-oiled machine.
It's a lot different in the collegiate game because it's one shot, one kill in the NCAA tournament. In the NBA, the best team usually wins because it's a 7-game series. And it's not super teams. See, it's not all-star teams that people are mad about, because nobody's mad that Paul George plays with Russell Westbrook. It's super teams. That means when an MVP level player decides that, oh, I'm going to go play in Miami. Oh, I'm going to go play in Golden State. And that's always transpired in the NBA. It's just you talked about when you get drafted, i.e. when the team does it, versus when I choose as a free agent, when I do it.
But that's not all I talked about. You're right, but that's not all I talked about. I also talked about that superstar joining a well-oiled machine. If the Golden State Warriors, if Steph and Clay and Draymond were together, and they all decided to go together and join Kevin Durant, as much as you might not like that, you can still wait and take a wait-and-see approach. But when you're 73-9, and when an argument is being made like
I KD is an isolated example, because the Warriors are the only team in the history of the NBA to have 2 All-Stars both under 30.
Well, that's fair. That has never happened. But the reason why is, you know, all it takes really turn folks off. If you're looking at the National Basketball Association at the time, think about what time in recent memory when we sat back and said, this is a damn waste of time. Ain't no reason. We haven't done that.
Let me go back to my point. Sure. Nobody's mad at Kyrie for being on Boston. You know why? The team traded him, i.e. the organization, like you keep alluding to, and he's not an MVP candidate.
That's not the reason.
But the Boston Celtics are a terrific basketball team.
That's a horrible example.
Why is that?
I'm getting ready to explain. Number one, he left LeBron. Number two, when he left LeBron, Cleveland was still a favorite. Number three, we didn't know how big time takes to take.
You're getting away from the point.
I'm not getting away from the point. I'm right on it.
He got traded to the Boston Celtics. Would you have felt some type of way if he chose to go to Boston as a free agent? No, you wouldn't have.
That's not true.
Because Kyrie Irving isn't an iconic MVP level
player.
issue.
What I'm saying to you, Jalen, is this: if the Boston Celtics were what they are now, and there was no LeBron in the Eastern Conference, and Kyrie decides to join it,
couldn't be what they are now without Kyrie.
Well, I'm answering. You're changing the narrative. I'm saying if the Boston Celtics were loaded already, and there was no foreseeable competition that we viewed, and he joined that team, we would frown upon that. That's not what happened with Boston.
To me, the Golden State Warriors didn't show me that they were invincible last year.
I'm a person
that feels like if Chris Paul had not gotten injured, Houston would.
That's not what we're talking about. The year before, when Kevin Durant first got here.
I didn't like KD.
No.
I didn't like KD losing to the Warriors and joining them. But what I'm trying to say is that's an isolated incident in NBA history. Nobody's right now upset at LeBron. Think about this. LeBron left Cleveland and they didn't get nothing in return for him. Nobody's upset about that. LeBron joined the Los Angeles Lakers. Nobody's upset about that. Why? Because they don't have other all-star level players on the squad.
So you just want to change the narrative. So you gonna act like 2 years ago when Kevin Durant went to Golden State, you had absolutely no issue with the fact that it was the balance of power had so drastically shifted that had ruined that season. Is that what you're saying?
The season was not ruined.
Oh, come on, Jalen.
Because here's see, the media can't have it both.
No. Stop with that media. Who are you working at? I'm sorry. Who you playing for? Who you playing for? I'm not confused about this now. Don't say the media. You too.
I'm not one of the people that I'm about to speak of, but you interrupted me because you don't know what I'm about to say. What I'm about to say is you're one of the media members that wants players to get the chip before they get validated, right? So how can I shut the media up? I'm going to go get the chip. So that's what players are now doing. And we're going to look up in like 10 years, and all the top players are going to actually have rings. How about that?
Time out. You're partially right. I definitely want the chip. I don't want you going broke. I don't want you failing to get your paper. I'm all down for that. And you know me about that. But the flip side is I have a problem when I see cats who have never won anything being celebrated as if they've won something. So I think that there are levels to this. There are those who are champions and those who are not. I don't see anything wrong with that.
I got to get back to the initial point. Let me get back to the initial point. Please do. Nobody was mad at Chris Paul for joining James Harden. The Houston Rockets
because Golden State was loaded.
But my point is,
we needed competition.
This is a Kevin Durant conversation. This is a Kevin Durant Golden State Warriors conversation. It isn't necessarily a super team conversation. There's multiple teams in the NBA with 2 All-Stars.